Is this nigga serious?
Hey, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today, we'll be talking about death and anime. And usually, I would be very general in my examples. You know, kind of keep it general, kind of keep it, you know, unspecified and all that other shit. But obviously, as you can see, some fuck shit happened, bruh. And I felt some type of way about it. And I just wanted to discuss it today in this video. And that thing is Ace versus Rengoku's death. You know, two very different deaths. I mean, not really, but you know, two very different people in the way they are implemented in the series. You know what I'm saying? They're both those side characters, but I feel like Ace's death was more eventful, impactful, and emotional. And how I determined that is because Ace's death definitely was closer to Luffy than Tanjiro was to Rengoku, or Rengoku was to Tanjiro at this point. There was more setup in Ace's death than there was in Rengoku's death, you know, more leading up to it. And the reactions that fallout of Ace's death, like how it impacted the series, was more than Rengoku's. And so that's why I'm saying that Ace's death was, you know, better. But I also understand that the people like Rengoku more, and people like Rengoku's death and shit, and people have them in tears and shit like that. And I understand that. And I understand that part of this video is very subjective. And I'm just here to discuss my opinions and how I reached those opinions / conclusions. So let's get into the video, y'all. Thank you.
On the track.
The importance of the relationship with the main character cannot be understated or undervalued. If it's not close to the main character, then it's not close with us. But we spend most of our time with the main character because they're the main character. So if we have a situation where the interaction between the main character and the character who's gonna die is limited, and they're not close or intimate with each other, like a brother or sister, or anything like so, or not, and we don't get to see their history together, then we have no reason to care for this character when he dies, or they die, or she dies. We have no reason at all. In fact, why should we give a fuck at all? If we're so limited in the time spent together, on screen and or off screen, then we shouldn't care. Like in the case of Rengoku and Tanjiro. I'm not saying I hate my nigga Rengoku, because I don't hate my nigga Rengoku at all. But the time we spent with him is almost finished for the time we spent with Ace and Luffy. We spent a total of 9 episodes with Rengoku, and to be fair, we barely know the nigga. We know his background, we know his family, but that's about it. We don't know his goals, or barely his personality, or even his flaw. He's not really a character, to be fair, in terms of my grading, but I still like him. But the relationship between him and Tanjiro has been not intimate at all. I mean, maybe a little bit, but like, it's a master and, you know, student at best. Versus Luffy and Ace, who have been brothers since they were young and grew up together. And even then, we see Luffy and Ace spend all this time together. We see Luffy literally fighting a war for his brother. Versus Tanjiro, he didn't fight no war for no nigga. And that's not solely on Tanjiro or Demon Slayer or Oda or anybody else's fault. But to say that Rengoku and Tanjiro are closer than Ace and Luffy is this falsehood. Because we spend more time with Ace, and Luffy spends more time with Ace on and off screen. So they're closer. And therefore, the death should be more impactful, emotional, and eventful, because that's Luffy's brother. If my brother died, or my sister died, or anyone close to me like that, any of my family would die, I'll be honest, you know, full of two. I'll be balling out, man. And not in a good way. Like I'm talking about tears, nigga. But we didn't know this nigga Rengoku. We spent a total of 9 episodes with him, and 2 of those episodes was the Hashira. And then 7 of them was on and off against fighting and shit. And not that we learned anything usually of substance, except for his backstory, like that's literally all we learned about this nigga. And that's why I think Ace's death is sadder. Setup is one of those things to make death impactful, eventful, and emotional. And I feel like Ace's death did this better than Rengoku's death. The reason why I feel like this is because we have virtually no setup for Rengoku. Rengoku's death was out of the park and most of all surprising. Now, this is not to say surprising deaths aren't bad, because they can be good. But the thing is, we didn't even know Rengoku, so when it surprised us that he died, it was kind of like we weren't, meant to feel anything. Now again, that's just my opinion, and I know a lot of people like Rengoku and cry at Rengoku's death, and maybe didn't even cry at Ace's death or something like that, or felt that Ace's death was not as sad as Rengoku's. But all I'm saying is that in the aspects that I presented before, Ace's death did have a lot more setup, which could, lead up and build up this idea when he was gonna die, and make it that much more impactful, emotional, and eventful, like I said before. And since Thriller Bark, we known about how Ace's life was in peril, was the fever card or whatever it's called. But the point is, Ace's death had a lot more, foreshadowing going into it than Rengoku's, and that is why I believe it is a better death and a sadder death. Thank you.
When I first started out this segment, I really thought I was gonna give it to Ace and then be done with it. But looking back on it, I realized something, that I can't grade the reactions as clear cut as I wanted to before, because each reaction was justified. That being that, Tanjiro's action toward Rengoku was justified, and the fact that even though he didn't know him long, he still was somewhat close to him, and Tanjiro's a caring and kind person, so of course he would react like that. And obviously Luffy knew Ace for a long time, and that was his brother and stuff like that, and he died in his arms, so of course Luffy's reaction was justified because that was his brother, you know what I'm saying? But the point I'm trying to make here is like, I cannot make a judgment right now, or I think maybe ever, in terms of who reacted the best. But however I can do is say that Ace's death, the fallout of Ace's death and the fallout of Rengoku's death, was more of a difference than people want to admit, or at least I want to point out at least. I think Ace's death was more impactful because it was an end of an era. It symbolized the end of the Roger era, the true end, because that was the last of Roger's spawn, seed, son, child. And obviously Whitebeard was from Roger's generation, so it symbolized the end of the era for One Piece versus Rengoku, who was this Hashira, and the Hashira are in secret, so it didn't impact that many people for the most part. Well, Ace's death kind of impacted everyone and changed the whole entire landscape and the power dynamic of the pirates and the navy and the marines and all that other stuff and the warlords and all of that. It changed mostly everything. We got a new Grand Fleet Commissioner or whatever it's called, and we got a power change in the system of the pirates and stuff like that, and the warlords. So that's why I think Ace's death is more impactful and eventful and emotional, because of those three things being the closeness to the character or relationship with the character, the build up or the setup, and the reaction that each character gave. Thank you for watching my video.